Welcome back to Don't Quote Us Sports. It is Friday, October 3rd. Happy birthday, Isaiah. Oh, hey, thank you there, Herb. Appreciate that, my guy.
I didn't even get a word in. I didn't even give the opportunity. So let me take a chance. Isaiah, my good friend. Happy birthday, buddy.
Thanks. It really means a lot. I'd like to thank not only myself for making it this far, but really it's just myself. There's nobody else I can thank. So maybe my mom gets partial credit for birthing me. But
I don't know if you would have made it this far without your wife, so I'll be the one to say it. Shout out to Isaiah's wife.
why are you taking my light? Why are you taking my light away from me?
You just said you weren't going to thank anybody.
Yeah. Sorry.
Anyway.
Humble brag. Humble brag.
Happy birthday, big boy.
And you know what I've been getting to do to celebrate my birthday week in the leading up to it?
Let me guess. You've gone to dinner 2 or 3 times. You went out clubbing last night, and at the end of the week, you're leaving on a 4-day beach vacation.
I wish none of those things are true, unfortunately. I got the pleasure of taking one of my dogs, Nash, little golden doodle, to the vet yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. Because Rachel had seen, or my wife, sorry, I don't know if I'm supposed to be giving government names out. My wife had seen him licking his penis.
Oh.
Very aggressively in recent days.
Why were you watching? Let him live.
And she took a closer inspection and supposedly had seen some gunk, some colored gunk in or around the tip, per se. So she wanted me to go get him checked. We also had to get his anal glands released because he struggles with that. You know, I saw him scooting a little bit. Normal dog things. So go to the vet, take him in. Pretty normal for the most part. His anal glands were filled to the brim. But then they take a sample of his little wiener. First off, very disrespectful about it. They essentially inferred that he had a small penis, and I did not appreciate them saying my dog had a small penis.
1 out of 5 stars.
Yeah, one star review. Not happy about it. But then they go back and examine it under the microscope or however the hell they do it. And 15 minutes later, they come back in. Somehow my neutered dog that does not have sex, somehow obtained a bacterial infection inside of his penis.
That's a lot for the last week of September into the first week of October. You got a lot going on over there.
So, or I don't know if you have an experience. I don't want to assume things by any means, but I don't know if you are aware of what you need to do to treat a dog with a bacterial infection within that region.
Got to be a suppository of some kind, right?
So this is actually a 2-person job.
Oh.
They sent me home with gloves.
Oh no.
So I need to put on a plastic glove as my wife is holding him down against his will, essentially, and I need to manipulate his little dog wiener.
What?
Manipulate his little dog wiener and open it up wide enough to then squirt in some lubricant or whatever this medicine is into the tip of his little thingaling, and then take my finger and make sure it's all nice and covered, if you know what I'm saying.
A well-coated area.
Yes, so I am essentially... Me and my dog are having a moment. A
You,
very intimate moment.
I, hmm. You and that dog have now a very intimate relationship. That is,
Yeah.
that's a lot. That's a lot for Wednesday night. Um, wow, we just talked about you sexually engaging your dog.
Yeah, and I have to do that for however long this tube of cream lasts me for.
Oh, it's a
And I
consistent
don't.
thing. Like this is going to be a
Oh,
production.
oh, the vet told me we should try and do it twice a day. Well, me and Rachel's schedules don't align well enough to do it in the morning, so luckily we only are doing it at night. But yeah, once or twice a day until that tube's gone.
Get a dog, they said. It'll be fun, they said. Did you ever imagine that this is where you'd be holding a dog down, assaulting it?
Yeah, he did not. He definitely did not consent. But in fairness, we did make it better. We got him some wet food to mix in with his dry food as a treat.
You need to get that
He's
boy a
been loving that.
cheeseburger.
He's been loving that.
Oh, poor guy. Wow, that's quite the tale. I feel bad that
It
you got to
is.
do it multiple times.
You and me both. You and me
And him.
both.
Wow.
But Herb, football week, shoot, week 5. Yeah, week 5. Um, Not a ton of news leading up into this week's slate of games, but we'll start back on Monday night with the big news that came out of the Dolphins Jets game, and that was the Tyreek Hill injury. For those who didn't see, early in the third quarter, goes to catch a pass along the sideline, suffers a dislocated knee, resulting in multiple ligament tears. um, I did not go and check. Excuse me, sorry. Did not go and check to see what ligaments specifically were injured, but I know there was a couple involved.
Yeah,
Oh golly!
get it out, big fella.
But what I was gonna say was they immediately put him in an air cast and they go to cart him off the field. And I don't think I have ever seen a player more excited to suffer a season ending injury than Tyreek Hill on that card.
All smiles. All smiles from that guy going off that field.
He looked like a kid in a candy shop. He literally looked giddy.
Yeah, he doesn't have to show up to work for the next 8 months and still make millions. And he didn't want to be there anyway. Everything that's happened down there in the last, I mean, you could say the last 3 years, but the last calendar year has been a nightmare for that guy and that franchise. So sucks to lose him, but I mean, are you really losing something with that bad of an attitude and he's smiling going off the field? Like, all right, well, we'll play without you then.
Yeah, I guess I really underestimated the whole whatever underlying beef that's going on or went on between Tyreek and Tua and just Tyreek and the team in general. I didn't really read too much into because I just thought Tyreek can just kind of have his moments a little bit. Based off that reaction, I have now come to the conclusion he really fucking dislikes Tua.
Yep.
Like every ounce of his being hated catching passes for him at the end for whatever reason, considering his two best statistical seasons came with Tua throwing him the ball.
Yeah, I mean, it was palatable, that disdain almost for one another, but it was kind of we have to have each other, so let's just get this along. I think it was reaching ahead. I think we can all agree to that. So I, I hate to say this because you don't hope for injury. I don't want Tyreek to be hurt, but are the Dolphins going to be better off for this now?
Um, in terms of the Dolphins, I think regardless, they're still missing the playoffs. Maybe vibes get a little bit better, but they're still winning at max 5-6 games. The thing I'm most interested in is what we see out of Jalen Waddle, because Mike McDaniel really catered this offense to have Tyreek as the focal point. And Jalen Waddle is now going on, what, year 5 in the league?
Sounds right.
Yeah, like 5. And I still don't really have a true read as to whether or not, um, like where he ranks in terms of NFL receivers, because he's just been operating in the shadow of Tyreek Hill. And you have to remember, this is a kid that they spent a first round pick on when he
Mm-hmm.
came out of the draft. Have they gotten their return on the investment? Will they get their return on their investment? I think we will find out with how the rest of the season goes.
Yeah, and I think that what you saw out of his first couple years before the injury, you would absolutely say, like, yeah, this is worth the investment. This kid worked out since the injury. And again, it's not like he's been back from this injury. He just got back. So I think like you said, that offense is designed to have a home run hitting wide receiver. I think Waddle can certainly be that. I don't know that I've ever seen in fantasy waiver wires a player dropped faster and a player picked up faster than dropping Tyreek for that. Is it Malik Washington? They're number 3 now.
Mm-hmm.
I've never
Yep.
seen. I haven't seen that. I don't even think we saw with Neighbors that all of a sudden Tyreek was flying off of people's rosters.
Oh, you should have seen how quickly I went from Michael Carter on waivers this morning when they announced Benson having surgery and being out 4 to 6 weeks.
Yep.
I gobbled that shit up so quick, like a Thanksgiving dinner.
Real quick, did you see the report saying that Tyreek's not going to have surgery though? That they think it's going to be fine without surgery?
Or I don't know where you get your reports. I'm 99% positive I saw a report that he already had surgery.
I don't know if it was yesterday morning or the day before. I'd seen ESPN report, and it was probably an early initial report that said he wasn't going to have surgery. I wasn't aware if he had or not.
Agent, Hill's surgery went well. Wide
Perfect.
receiver to play in 26.
Kind of figured that wouldn't be the case. I don't know how you would recover.
Fake ass news.
Well,
Ass news.
ESPN's got to lock it down, man.
You are in the right spot here, Herb.
Don't quote us.
Quote us.
Don't do it.
But to wrap this up, where does this leave Tyreek and the Dolphins moving forward? Because by the time next season starts, he's going to be 32 years old, coming off this injury. But then even last year when he was healthy, was lackluster, right? And he had just restructured his contract coming into this season. So the logistics of it is Miami can actually save $36 million in cap space for next season by cutting them post June 1st. And they would take on a cap hit of about $16 million next season and a little over $12 million in 2027. Do you think that is the route that they go down? What do you envision in terms of the rest of Tyreek Hill's career?
As quickly as Tyreek's knee snapped out of place, the relationship between Tyreek Hill and the Dolphins is now over, I think. I don't even think Tyreek will be around the facility. I don't think Tyreek is going to be involved in any capacity moving forward. He will remain on the team until June 1st because you're looking at in reality, $8 million savings. That does some good for your roster in the future. But I don't think we will ever see Tyreek suit up for a Dolphins game again.
Okay, so with that being said, one, do you think he's going to continue to play? And two, what level of play do you think we can expect from Tyreek until he retires, whenever that may be? Like, can we expect him to get back to a 1,000-yard receiver, or is he going to be more so a gadget type of player? Because correct me if I'm wrong, I've never seen a player of Hill's stature age gracefully. I can't even think of one off the top of my head that's a receiver. It's literally only been running backs that I can think of.
Yeah, Darren Sproles is the only one of that. And I know Tyreek's a little bit taller than Darren Sproles was, but no, you've got a great point there. Do I ever think we're going to see him get back to what he once was? No. I think how I'm thinking about this is like an OBJ or Jarvis Landry type of career where He's going to come back. He's going to sign with a bad team, not do a whole hell of a lot, but get a hell of a paycheck out of it, and then just kind of disappear and just not be heard about. Unfortunate. I mean, if he really wants to play again, I think that a team like the Chiefs would probably give him a little bit of consideration. I don't know how you feel about that, but that's just a feel-good story. Give him the number 3-4 spot on the roster. Call it good. Problem is, I think he mentally is still going to want to be paid like he's being paid.
Yeah, see, there's just so many question marks in my opinion because he's going to be out the rest of this season. But then let's not forget that he's under investigation for domestic abuse, something that happened this summer leading up to this. So let's say he comes back, he could be facing a 4-game suspension minimum for whoever he signs with. And then it goes back to the money thing because he's not going to get paid whatever his last contract was. But what is he going to be willing to accept at the same time? Like, what are you willing to pay Tyreek Hill, a 32-year-old Tyreek Hill, coming off major knee surgery after the last year and a half that he's had? Like, there's a lot of question marks with that.
Somebody's going to overpay him. Somebody's going to pay for the name. And it's going to be unfortunate. Yeah, a team like Jacksonville is going to pay for the name, right? I wouldn't pay him very much. Unless there's workouts that happen and everyone's like, oh shit, Tyreek's back, then you can roll the dice. But still, he's going to ask what, 10 to 15 million a year at minimum.
I think his starting point is going to be whatever Devontae Adams contract that he signed with the Rams was this past offseason, which I think was like 2 years, a little over $40 million. But it essentially was a 1-year contract, right? I think that's what he's going to be aiming for.
I don't know that I would be willing. If I'm in a competitive team with a little money to spend, I don't know that I could justify paying him coming off that knee surgery like that.
But regardless, even if his career was to end today, are we both in agreement we witnessed a Hall of Fame career from Tyreek Hill?
Yes.
Final stat line as of right now, assuming he doesn't play another game, which I don't think either of us believe is true. 819 catches, 11,363 yards, 83 receiving touchdowns, added 7 more rushing, and 5 more returns. So 95 career touchdowns.
Yeah, and you add on the Super Bowl rings and the fact that he was
Super Bowl ring.
And you add on
only got one.
The fact that he was the wide receiver of a generation of football. I would argue. So yeah, I do think he's making the Hall. Although this off the field stuff may hinder some of that, depending on what comes of that.
Yeah, 5-time All-Pro. I think one of those was as a returner, though. But I think his case is pretty locked up as long as he doesn't have some sort of Antonio Brown type of
true
post-career type of thing go on. So that was Tyreek. Sorry to the Dolphin fans out there, the 3 of you that are still paying attention to that team. But to more interesting news, Dylan Gabriel has officially been named the starter in Cleveland for their upcoming game in London against the Minnesota Vikings. He will be replacing Joe Flacco as the starter, but Flacco will remain the backup. So Shador is still QB3, and we'll get into that whole whatever that was yesterday in a second, but it makes sense from a Browns perspective. I would say they've been more competitive in games than I would have expected coming into this season. And I don't even think Flacco was playing that bad. He leads the league in turnovers with 8, but I can count at least 3 or 4 off the top of my head that literally hit his receivers in the hand and then turned into interceptions. I know that for a fact, but the QBR number does back it up. He has the second lowest QBR in the entire league at 27, ranked only above Cam Ward. So that's doo-doo butthole. That makes sense that he's getting benched. And through 4 weeks, Browns are averaging the second fewest points in the league. So it's not a crazy reaction to say that this is an unjustified move by any reason, especially after the Browns invested 2 draft picks into quarterbacks in this most recent NFL draft. So I think it's time to see what you have in those guys and whether or not they are worth building around. Sorry. Once we make it big, I'll find a nice recording studio in which you don't hear my dogs bark. But Dylan Gabriel, what are your thoughts on it? You think that was the right move, going to picking him over Sedor? What are your expectations of him coming in, or lack thereof? Preface.
We knew this was going to happen at some point. It was the worst kept secret that Joe Flacco was not going to make it for every game this year. Whether it was an injury, old age, or his play declined. His play started to decline. Gabriel can win football games. He's proven that. They clearly like him more than Shedeur. That's fine. Then go out there and make sure that you can support him, similar to what we said about the Giants and Jackson Dart. So their defense is playing at an elite level that nobody expected. I think we can both agree on that. So you're already checking one of those boxes, right? Let's get the run game established in this one. Let's not ask Gabriel to go out there and throw it 40 times and we're doing everything off of his back. So run the ball. Help Gabriel out. Who I like in this game in the big way are the 2 tight ends, Njoku and Fannin. If I'm Dylan Gabriel, I should be finding them every chance I get. I don't care if we're only getting 3-4 yard pickups. Completions are going to be the name of the game. I like Gabriel. I like Gabriel a lot. What if they come out and win this thing?
Well, one, remember we're talking against them in the Vikings, so I won't take that slander right now. for my well-being and my birthday week, we're not going to do that.
But for your birthday week, I won't do that to you.
Thank you. So that one, what I'll say is, again, another very tricky position to be in for a rookie, because it was just like Jackson Dart. We didn't think the matchup against LA was the easiest, right, for your first career start. Same thing with Dylan Gabriel. Not only is it a game in London, which I'm sure that probably has some sort of effect, right? Yeah. You haven't even started a professional game in America yet, and now you're going to be expected to go do it in London. I don't know. That seems odd, right? But then you're facing a Brian Flores offense or defense who the things that he will present from a defensive front is going to put him in a mental pretzel. Like, he will show an all-out blitz, and then he will rotate a safety back up and play a one high and then dropping like defensive ends out to go cover the flats or something crazy like that. Like, the way he's able to disguise defenses is absurd. Like, just the things that he asks our defensive players to do is crazy. And to have Dylan Gabriel go out there against that, I feel like you're just asking for bad things. You know what I mean?
Well, but okay, then your other option is to go to Flacco for this one. I agree. This is a hard first career start. The travel alone can do you in if you don't know what to expect. And the Vikings have an advantage. The Vikings have been over there the whole time, right? They haven't come back home.
Correct.
So in terms of any time adjustment and just feeling normal is favoring the Vikings 100%. I love you brought up the defense. I think this thing's going to be a defensive battle. Like I said, Cleveland's defense playing out of their minds. The Vikings defense is playing incredibly well. Let's not forget, what they have, 4 turnovers in one game, 2 touchdowns by old boy just 2 weeks ago.
Isaiah Rodgers,
right? So I think if the Vikings really want to come out and establish this thing early, they're going to blitz the shit out of Dylan Gabriel. He's got legs, but he doesn't have legs like that.
Mm-mm.
So,
But then to where the real storyline here resides is once Dylan Gabriel was named the starter there in Cleveland, obviously the first person the media wanted to talk to was Shador Sanders to get his thoughts as to whether or not he agreed with that move. And sorry, I'm still kind of at a loss for words of how this kind of like played out.
Just say it.
There's nothing to say because he didn't. You actually teed that one up perfectly. He didn't say anything. He essentially acted like a mime in the locker room, and I don't know how long it lasted for, but it was a couple minutes at least, and I still don't know if he ever actually answered the question like verbally.
To my knowledge, he did not. I'm gonna speak quite frankly on Shador for a second here. I don't care if you're if you're Josh Allen or if you are Shador Sanders in the scale of quarterbacks. Everything you do, whether you're the number 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, as a quarterback, everything you do is a job interview. So congratulations, Shador. You just showed every NFL GM that they were right on draft night, that this is exactly what they knew that they didn't want to be a part of their program. I don't get it. The simple answer is, hey, the coach has made a decision. I'm showing up to work every day, trying to work hard. I'm here to support Dylan, and I'm ready to go whenever that time might come. That's your fucking answer, dude. So for all this prima donna shit, which hasn't been earned at all by Shador Sanders, you can't break into the number 2 spot. You can't beat a 40-year-old Joe Flacco. So to pull that shit, it really irked me. And talk about losing the locker room. You think any of those Cleveland Browns players are back in Shador after that?
It would be hard pressed to think that they are, but it's just another baffling decision in this whole Shador Sanders saga. And I just want to know who's been whispering in his ear for the last 9 months or what type of PR training he has gotten, because he is missing the mark time and time and time again, just making himself look worse. Because the tough part is, the dude, when you actually talk to him, seems like a genuinely nice guy, like somebody that can actually like be a leader if he so chooses to be, right?
Yep.
But it's like he can't get out of his own way in the way that he presents himself. Like, we already have the news from the combine where he's refusing to speak with teams, or he's being very short with teams, right? Like, kind of trying to dictate where he's going type of thing. And then you have this come out, and it's like, we know what you're truly thinking. Like, you're not going to be happy with this decision, but you're a professional NFL quarterback. They're expecting you to just go say the typical, well, yeah, I don't agree with the decision, but I'm going to do what I can to be a team guy, going to support Gabriel as much as I can, yada, 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 like, it doesn't have to be more than that. But now he's created this whole new storyline that did not need to be a storyline, because I think the best thing for him at this point is doing everything you can not to be in the media, right?
Yeah. If I'm the GM of the Browns, I'm furious. And what Shador just said, I didn't say nothing. You said everything we needed to know. I just don't get it. He needs to get out of his own way. He can be successful. He has arm talent. I think he can play quarterback in the NFL. I don't know if that's a backup role. I'm not saying he's going to be the next big thing. He can play in the NFL. The arm talent's there. Start acting like it, because there's a million other dudes that would take that opportunity in a fucking heartbeat, who would absolutely come in there and be the consummate professional. I don't understand it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, without a doubt. But going back to the Dylan Gabriel element of it, um, as a result of this, we are going to have 4 starting NFL quarterbacks this week that are Oregon
Mm-hmm.
Ducks
Mm-hmm.
alum. We got Mariota, Bo Nix, Justin Herbert, Dylan Gabriel now. I don't know. People might start asking the question, is Oregon, we've talked about it after the Penn State Oregon game, is Oregon turning into a little bit of a quarterback factory? I don't know.
Are you here pronouncing the newest QBU?
Whew, it's tough, but it's kind of crazy enough that you say that because one, I don't know who that school would be if you did ask me that question directly. But the 2 schools that have the most starting quarterbacks are Oregon and Oklahoma, which just doesn't seem right to say.
See, in my mind, like I immediately when I think quarterback you over a very long period of time, it's probably Oklahoma. Baker, Kyler, Sam Bradford, like Caleb. Technically, there's names on that list, so I understand that. But
Troy, if you want to do technicalities, Troy Aikman.
and I'm sure there's other names on that list that we're missing that have absolutely gone.
Jason White won a Heisman.
Jason White did one.
He
Hey,
went
shit,
undrafted, but he won a Heisman.
we might as well throw Landry Jones in that motherfucker too.
Hey, he did have a career.
Mm-hmm. So
You speak nicely. I'm pretty sure. I could be very wrong. Don't quote me. Landry Jones ended his college career with the most career passing yards in college football history.
he passed
Then it
up.
got shattered by Case Keenum.
Is that what it was? It went Landry and then Case. That would make sense.
Remember, I prefaced this by saying, "Don't quote us."
Don't quote
I
us.
have no idea whether or not that's true, but I believe he is without a doubt top 5. So put some respect on Landry Jones.
And then to come full circle, you know who overtook that whole thing? Dylan Gabriel, right?
Oh yeah, he forgot he falls into both buckets.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Hey, I tell you what, it's funny how things work out, huh?
Right.
Last thing I'll say about Gabriel, I hope I know it's playing the Vikings, and okay, I'll give you the win. I hope he goes out there and balls just despite everything that's going on in that quarterback room. I hope he fucking balls.
Yeah, that's going to be my last question here is how long do you think the leash is with Dylan Gabriel? Not just in terms of this game, but rest of season outlook, right? Like, are they going to let him continue to play even though he's making mistakes? Or do you, where's that line as to what would it take for them to make another quarterback change?
It would have to 2 games. If he plays disastrously and the offense looks like shit, they can't move the ball, they're turning the ball over constantly. I mean, they are a true detriment to what the defense is trying to get done and keep them in a game. 2 games and you're switching quarterbacks again. Whether they go to Shador or to Flacco, I think if he struggles in these 2 games, it will start a carousel of Browns quarterbacks where we don't know who's starting this week. It could be anybody. So if he goes out there and keeps them tight and he plays efficient and game manages well, he's going to have turnovers. Like, that's going to happen. As long as they're not big-time detrimental turnovers, 4 games, 5 games, and see where you're at. But if it's bad, it's this week and next week, and Shador or Joe's going back in.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So with that being said, Herb, I wanted to introduce not a new concept or a new segment by any means, but new for our podcast, and do a little buy or sell of a couple things that I have jotted down. And you tell me if I'm off base or whether or not you agree with them. So number 1, and I tried being a little bit conservative with this one, Brian Callahan will be fired before the Titans bye week in week 10.
That is going to be a buy. I knew this was going to come up. Like, I knew we were going to have to talk about it, and it really fucking hurts. You saw the press conference in which Cam Ward said flat out, if we're being a buck, we're ass. He didn't tell any
Hot
lies.
ass.
He didn't tell any lies. Let's be completely open that he's not lying. We look awful. We look terrible. I don't love Callahan's response, although it was an improvement from when he ripped apart Will Levis. His response was Cam's still young. He's learning how to be a quarterback and be a professional and talk to the media and things like that. So while I understand that you don't love your quarterback going out there and saying that, at least he's honest with the fans and himself of where they're at, and he pinned it on him, and he needs to get better. Callahan got to go, though. Play calling got transitioned to the quarterback's coach. Guess what? We scored less points than we normally do. The defense looked bad. I mean, it's just it is a comedy of errors with the Tennessee Titans right now.
Hey. But Simons had that really cool play, though. That really cool sack.
One goddamn play.
0.5 seconds, C.J. Stroud was on his back.
Can I say something about that?
That was cool.
Can I say something about that and be be an honest Titans fan right now? He was lined up offsides.
Hit me.
He was lined up offsides.
Okay. You didn't have to ruin it.
I know, but he was. I have to admit it because I'm worried they're going to – I know he was offsides. It was still a sick tackle.
In fairness, he probably still would have gotten it, considering the Texans still blocked one guy with 4 people. So,
yeah. No, but in terms of the Titans, yes, I'm buying the fact that Callahan will not make it to the end of the season. I think maybe even before the trade deadline.
Okay. Next one. Cam Scatterboo will win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Last 2 weeks, he's accounted for 211 total yards, just 1 touchdown, but, that is kind of hit or miss. Neighbors just went down. I feel like he is going to be a focal point in this offense moving forward. Buy or sell?
I'm selling, but conservatively. I like Scatterbo a lot. He's fun to watch. I just don't know. I don't know if there's another rookie who I'm going to name here in a second who's not playing better right now. So Cam is skyrocketed up that list. I think he's going to be a huge help for that offense. But I still think it's Emeka Ibuka who is leading and will end up winning the Rookie of the Year. Cam's going to be there in the conversation, though.
Okay, Herb, and then for the last one I have for you. The Bengals need to trade for a quarterback if they want to make the playoffs. So in Jake Browning's two starts, he has completed a good amount of passes, 67%, but only for 265 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, and let me break down. So they've had 17, 19, 21, 22 drives over the course of the last 2 games. I'm going to break down how those drives have ended, just to give you a point of reference. Of those 22 drives, 1 has ended in a touchdown, 2 have ended in field goals, 2 have ended in interceptions, 3 have ended in fumbles, and 14 have ended with punts. So I know you're not great at math. I'm not great at math. I'll do the quick math on the calculator. 63% of his drives have ended with a punt. I guess the better math I should be doing, only less than 14% of his drives have resulted in points for his team.
Ooh.
I'm pretty sure, now that I think about it, the defense, he's essentially given up more points through his turnovers, because Isaiah Rodgers had the 2 touchdowns off a fumble and an interception. They've only scored 13 points.
Jeez.
So, yeah. But back to the original question, buy or sell?
No, I'm buying this idea. We talked about it, that Jake Browning had a command of this offense and that it shouldn't be too big of a hiccup. Well, it turns out it's a pretty big hiccup. So I will buy the fact that they need to go get themselves a quarterback. I just don't know who it is. And I think that Some has changed from our last prediction. Like, I don't know that Jameis would be available anymore, to be honest with you, from New York. But there's certainly other options, which Shadur has now emerged as a name of possibly going over there. But I'll buy the fact that they need a change at quarterback and they need somebody effective to come in.
Yep. Same boat. I just don't know if they're willing to give up the assets to go and do that or not. Um, I don't know
What do
what
you
it would
really
take.
think? What do you think really Shadur to the Bengals would take?
No,
Because it's
because
divisional.
no, it just doesn't make sense. If your goal is to win games, you're not going to go trade for a rookie. It's like the
I
same
agree with
people
you.
that are pitching the idea of Anthony Richardson.
Mm-mm.
That these are long term projects. You're not if you're the Bengals who came into this season with postseason aspirations, you're not going to go and trade for a young dude like that. You're going to go and get a vet of some cloth, right? Like the most likely names you can think of are going to be Kirk Cousins. It's going to be Andy Dalton. It's going to be Russell Wilson or Jameis, whoever one is more available. Those are the ones I'm thinking of off the top of my head. Maybe even Joe Flacco if the Browns are willing to part ways with him. Those are probably the most feasible names that they could go for.
Yeah, I get that. Something's got to give in Cincinnati because it's ugly.
hmm But thank you for going through that with me. I'd like to know how crazy I sound or don't sound.
No, I don't.
But
I don't think you're nuts.
to wrap up the NFL, let's just get into our picks of the week. I'm looking back at what we did last week. It looks like I believe it was 3-1. So I think I'm even on the year now. I think I'm 6-6. Herb, tough week.
Bad week.
Now I'm another 1-3 week, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think the Bengals Broncos game went over.
No, it did not.
Okay, yeah. So 1-for-3 for Mr. Herb. So that puts you at
4-8.
4-8. There we go. Thank you. So I will give you the floor instead of going back and forth. Let's just have you give all four of your picks, and then I will in turn give mine. How's that sound?
That works. All right. For my spread. Okay, this is a team that came alive last week on the back of their running back, going against a team that is playing solid defense right now. But I believe the Raiders are going to stay at 6.5 from the Colts. Raiders 6.5. Love that spread right now. Over under. This one is solely dependent on if Jaden Daniels is playing for the Commanders this week, which it sounds like he very well may. So the Commanders versus Chargers in LA, 48.5. I like the over on this game. Jaden, if he's back, going to re-announce his presence with authority. Little prop bet for you. We're going to go running back here. Breece Hall over 66.5. Something feels like that they're going to try to safeguard Justin a little bit, not giving him an opportunity to run it himself. I think it's going to be leaning run dependent. So 66.5 rushing yards for Breece Hall. Anytime touchdown scorer. You might have forgotten about this guy a little bit, Isaiah, because he's on a bad team and he got hurt last year. Give me Chris Olave. Give me Chris Olave plus 160. I like Olave to score this week.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay. I can get behind those picks. So from my end, and I will preface this, we try and not pick games that aren't during the noon or afternoon or night game on Sunday. Typically, we say to those time windows. So while I would love to add some picks here from the Minnesota and Cleveland game, like the line right now, the over under is 35.5. I'm sorry, but that is just incredibly low. I don't care what the reasoning behind it is. That is a stupid low total.
Correct.
So I would hammer that over. But I'm going to stay away from that one. So my over under for the week, I've had poor success with predicting unders, so I'm going to stay away from that. But I think where we could get some points, and it might be a little gross, Giants Saints over 41
Ooh.
and a half.
Ooh.
Two bad defenses. Saints have honestly played a lot better on offense than I imagined they would. And the Giants, who knows? I think we easily can see a 24-20 win game right here, without a doubt. And two defenses that are very meh, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So then the spread is interesting because there's a lot of close lines this week. I don't know how closely you were watching
Yep.
that. Which makes it a little bit interesting. And I've been kind of flip-flopping back and forth on this one, but I'm going to take the
Oh boy.
Panthers plus 1.5 at home against the Dolphins.
Ooh, you're gonna take my gamble that I took 2 weeks ago?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
I just don't know what Carolina team is going to show up. My backup option that I won't go with, but I was enticed to, Seahawks -3 against the Bucks.
Yeah, I like it the other way.
I'm starting to believe in the Seahawks though at home. I don't know. We'll see, but that's my backup. Um, Player prop. This one's easy for me because I didn't realize how free this was after the CeeDee Lamb injury, but Jake Ferguson, 6+ receptions is a guaranteed lock, and you're getting juice money on it. Last I checked, it was plus 116. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, grab that bad boy. It may only be for about 35 yards, but he will get 6 catches, without a doubt. And then for my anytime touchdown, we hit the first one last week. That felt good. Got off the snide there. So let's see if we can do it back to back weeks. I don't want to keep like targeting the same teams like over and over again because it just feels mean. So what I will go with here is give me a Nico Collins anytime touchdown against the Baltimore Ravens.
I like that depleted secondary, big body. CJ's got to throw it to somebody.
Yep, that's the thought process on that one. Only plus 125 on it, but
that feels like a parlay booster or a good leg in a parlay.
But I feel good with that one. Oh, also, if we were trying to do like long shots, a name to watch for, just because of how bad Tennessee has been so far this season, I would take. You could probably take your pick at any of those Cardinals to score a touchdown. But if you want some juiced money, go with the Amari DiMercado.
Oh,
He should be serving it. He was already kind of like the third down back after James Conner went down, but he'll get even more snaps this week now that Benson's out as well. So
yeah, that is a dark.
He's at plus 250 right now.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Okay, Herb. So this week, I don't think we're gonna do like a detailed preview of any games in college football, but what I want to do is a check-in 5 weeks into the college football season. We didn't make predictions like we did in the NFL, but I figured with how wide open it feels like within college football right now to get a pulse check and try and call our shot here rest of season. So I want to start with the Heisman, and I want you to run me through who your favorite to win currently is, who your dark horse is, and who your long shot is. rest of the season? If you had to call it right now, today.
Week 5. So I think we were hot and heavy on John Mateer, and that injury put that way off of schedule. So I think both of us have had to adjust in a big way. I'll start with my favorite right now. It is the betting favorite at plus 500. It's Dante Moore. I'm going to keep screaming about this. It's Dante Moore. He looks elite. He looks like a pro-ready quarterback. Got into a debate at work. This kid might be one of the better throwers on the run that we've seen in a long, long time. Sleeper, I'm going to stay at quarterback. I know it's kind of become a quarterback award, but if Diego Pavia and Vanderbilt can keep rolling, despite what already seems like an impossible schedule ahead, that kid's going to find himself in the top 3 very, very quickly. I think, they've got to play at Bama. They've got 2 home games against LSU and Mizzou. Then they go to Texas. Then they got 2 more SEC home games. They finish off at Tennessee. That's tough sledding ahead, for sure. So, but I like Diego Pavia as a dark horse and the ultimate sleeper. You're going to call me a homer for this pick here, Isaiah, but I'm going to go Justice Haynes. Have you seen his odds?
No, I haven't actually, but he was somebody I was enticed by.
Plus 10,000 right now.
That's crazy.
He's got 537 rushing yards, 6th in the country, 6 touchdowns. This week might be more of a test for him, playing against Wisconsin, who only gives up 50 rushing yards a game. So if he can go out there and have a game, I don't see a reason why he can't move higher up and be talked about a little more.
Okay. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. Would you like to hear my picks?
I would love to hear your picks. Are they wildly different, or are we in the same thought process?
I liked your thought process on some of these.
Okay.
But I'm changing it up. I've been beating this drum, and I'm going to continue to beat this drum because it just seems like the stars are aligning in the sky right now. My favorite to win the Heisman come the end of the season goes by the name Trinidad Chambliss. And he plays down there in good old Oxford, Mississippi. Because what he is doing since taking over for Austin Simmons is things literally we have not seen in 30 plus years. I shit you not. The stat is he is the first SEC quarterback in 30 years to pass for 300 yards and run for at least 50 yards in 3 straight games, his 3 starts.
Advanced analytics right there, baby. Advanced analytics.
I am just saying he had the same storyline last year at Ferris State when he took over as the backup, led them to a national title. He has Ole Miss rolling right now. He is going to be my favorite. My dark horse.
Go ahead.
My dark horse is going to be this one. I kind of flip flopped, and because Trinidad, depending how you view him, could be a dark horse with where his odds are right now.
I would consider him in that dark horse category for sure. I like your pick, but yeah.
So if he's considered a dark horse, I'm also going to then pick Mendoza as my other dark horse. I think Indiana is just a whole lot better than people are giving them credit for at this very moment. When we actually dig deeper into like their overall stats, they're very, very good. And I know last week was kind of a stinker there at Iowa, but we had talked already. Anytime you go to Iowa City to take on the Hawkeyes, it always kind of just turns into an ugly game. But I just go back to what O'Rourke was able to do in that offense last year. I think Mendoza is a better quarterback than he was, and his stats just speak for themselves at this point. I forgot what it was. I think it was like 16-1 touchdown to interception ratio right now. So if he can throw for almost 40 touchdowns through the air, and if Indiana finishes in the top 5, top 7 even in the end of the year rankings, it's going to be hard pressed not to give it to him because he's going to be the driving force behind that.
So my question for that, real quick, because I've seen some hate about that online. People saying stay away from Fernando Mendoza plus 1,400. Do you think that's coming from they're putting too much stock in the Iowa game, and they think that like it was all predicated by the run, and now they lost their starting running back, or where do you think that comes from?
I think it's partially just the lack of belief in Indiana at this point, probably. And I guess it'll be a true test after this weekend. Is it this weekend or it might be next weekend when they take on Oregon? We'll see how he plays against Oregon, and then we'll come back to this conversation.
Revisit.
Yeah, because that could be what the real tell is. But then my dark horse, I'm going to give some love to Haynes King at Georgia Tech.
Oh.
I don't think Georgia Tech is losing a game and at this point, I don't even know. I'm not even positive that they're going to lose that last game against Georgia at this point. But I don't think they're going to lose a game in the ACC as long as Haynes King stays healthy, right? And if Haynes King stays healthy, I'm envisioning. I'm going to throw a name at you or bring you back down memory lane a little bit. Do you remember a fella that went by the name of Colin Klein? Played for good old
K-State.
K-State.
Big old 6'7" of him.
Or another name went by the name of Jordan Lynch, who resided up there in northern Iowa or northern Illinois territory. These are two quarterbacks that both finished in the top 3 in Heisman voting. They weren't considered pass-first quarterbacks by any means, but what they were able to add with their feet is what got them there. And Haynes King, I think, is a better passer than either of them were in college, but he is just as good of a runner as both of them. So as long as he stays healthy, I think he could be taking a nice little trip to New York come December.
I don't disagree. That's a great comp. Colin Klein had a nuke of an arm, but he couldn't. He was the least accurate quarterback I think the Big 12's ever fucking seen.
I was gonna say if he was completing more than 55% of his passes, I'd be shocked. If we looked,
he could chuck it 90 yards. But yeah, no, he couldn't hit a slant if you paid him.
No, he would have been. You know what offense he would have been perfect in? Imagine like the late 90s, early 2000s Nebraska Cornhuskers when they were running the wishbone.
Yes, but of course you had to take it back to the Scurs, huh?
I mean, that was the first. Okay, you could throw it back to one of those fucking good-ass Oklahoma
I'm just giving a hard time. No, I don't disagree. Giant human being, Colin Klein was 6'7", like 260.
Big boy.
He was a big fella. Couldn't throw. What a shame. No, Haynes King. I like that pick in a big way. I think you're right about Georgia Tech. I think we're going to be talking about Georgia Tech come playoff time. I don't know how well they're going to fare in the playoff, but
I hope so. I just want to see new blood. Like I said, this is the season. We haven't seen this much parity in college football in what feels like a very long time. So I just want to see teams that we don't typically see. Like, for the longest time, it felt like we were constantly just seeing Ohio State, Georgia, Alabama, Clemson, Oklahoma. It was just like some variation of those teams, right? I want to see some of these teams like Georgia Tech, Texas Tech, Indiana. I know they made it last year, but before that, they had been dog water for the longest time. So just seeing new fan bases being able to experience that is what I'm hoping for, right?
But as long as they come to play better than Boise and Arizona State did.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I feel like that's also something that we're going to continue to see in these college football playoff games moving forward, because in most seasons, you truly do have that top 4 or 5 teams. So then you pair them up against 11th seed, 12th seed.
Tulane.
They're going to kick their ass. Like, that group of 6 team is probably going to win that first round matchup one every 4 years, 5 years type of thing. It's not going to happen frequently, if I had
Yeah, I
to
don't think
guess.
we're going to see a lot of Cinderellas moving forward.
No. But that is a good segue into the next segment I wanted to do. Again, pounding the fact that there is a lot of parity this season thus far in college football. I want to run through a couple of teams that I feel like have impressed so far early on this season. And let's talk through whether or not we see them as national title contenders or pretenders. Are we putting a little bit too much stock into them at this point? Or could we actually see them at the end of the season making a run? So the first team I'm going to throw out there because they are the ones that are ranked highest in the rankings currently, and that is the Miami Hurricanes. So their best wins this season obviously are at home against Notre Dame in USF. I think that Notre Dame game is going to continue to look better and better as the season goes on. I don't think Notre Dame is going to lose many more games, if any, this regular season. In terms of their overall like metrics, I used SP Plus. It's a ESPN metric that measures like efficiencies and things to get a general idea of the advanced analytics and how they rank a team. So overall, they have them at 14th right now. Offense at 7th, defense at 27th, and special team at 8th. But the big stat that I thought was very intriguing thus far, because I don't think Miami has played just cupcakes upon cupcakes, right? They've had some good competition thus far. What they have done in the red zone is actually absurd thus far. They have 18 trips to the red zone. They've scored on 17 of those. And of those 17, 14 of them were touchdowns. So on almost 80% of their drives that end up with them in the red zone, they are scoring a touchdown. I thought that was just absurd as I was doing this
Wow.
research.
Wow. Yeah.
I
No,
will pose it over to you. What do we think? Do we have Miami as a contender or pretender?
I've shown Miami a lot of hate early in the year. I've owned that some. I respect Miami. I don't see that this team is built to make the long haul through the playoffs going against some of these Big Ten and SEC defenses. I just don't see it. Their defense is elite. Their defense flies around. I just don't know that they have one. I don't know if they have the experience outside of Carson Beck. I don't know if the coaching staff has the experience to make it through. It just feels like they're going to hit a road block first, second round of the playoff. So I'm going to call them pretenders.
So, with that being said, I also believe they're pretenders just because of that recent history of Miami and them finding a way to choke somewhere. I'm not saying they won't make the playoff. I just don't think they win multiple games within the playoffs. But my question to you is based off what you said, do you think they're losing a game or two in the regular season and not even making the playoff? Or is it they continue to maybe not dominate, but win throughout the regular season, make the playoff, and then that's when we kind of see those flaws come out or be
I
exposed?
think I think playoff is a very realistic thing. They very well could be the hottest team going into the playoff if you look at their schedule. You know, they're playing Syracuse and North Carolina State kind of late in the year, games that are very winnable for them. So I do think they make the playoff, but once they're matched up against Ohio State, Georgia, one of these other teams that has some big time players on offense, I just don't know that they're going to be able to keep up with them.
Okay. To team number 2, and it's a team we kind of touched on just a moment ago, but the Ole Miss Rebels. So far this season, they just recently took down previous number 4 LSU and Tulane, who was ranked at the time. In terms of those efficiency rankings, they're at 8 overall, 8 on offense, defense is at 16, and special teams is at 3. If we dive a little bit deeper into that, EPA, which is expected points added, it's a very convoluted advanced stat. I can't even begin to like dive into. Loves their offense though. It has them top 3 in just offensive EPA, and they say they have the best passing attack in the entire nation. The one stat I will throw out here that will most likely define the rest of their season is Lane Kiffin is 0-7 in his career in road games against ranked SEC opponents, and he has 2 very important ones upcoming against Georgia and Oklahoma, both on the road. So
Yep.
he is going to have to um, get rid of address those demons if they are going to be true contenders. But what are your thoughts?
If there was a Lane Kiffin Ole Miss team to address those demons, isn't it this one? I mean, you've got a D2 kid at quarterback. You got names on defense nobody's ever heard of, but they're playing well. Not great. They're playing well. They're keeping them in games. I know you're high on them. I think you've got me high on them too, because I think this is a fun one to root for. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong rooting for Ole Miss football at this point in time. Given everything we know, take away Lane Kiffin's past, I think this is an Ole Miss team that I want to root for. I'm excited to root for, but also that offense is explosive. Again, I think they've got a real chance to make the playoff, and I want to say that they'll make a run. I want to be there with you.
I am just glad to know that if my current job ever fails, I will always have a fallback in terms of sales, because I feel like I have been selling the shit out of these Ole Miss Rebels in recent weeks. And at first, it wasn't even because I truly thought highly of the team. It was all because I was just buying into the story that is Trinidad Chambliss. I want the world to think of this podcast as the #1 Trinidad Chambliss podcast. I am all in on this storyline. But just tickle me pink here for a second.
Oh.
How does this not have the feeling of one of those just heartfelt like movies of like an inspiring story of this kid who nobody expected to be in this position? He finally gets this opportunity that nobody thought he would ever have, and he has just grasped that opportunity and he is running with it, right? And eventually he's going to have some hiccups, right? There's no way he can go through an entire SEC schedule without having them. But if he's just able, if he can limit what those mistakes may be in the future, there's just so much to like about this Ole Miss team. Lane Kiffin has become one of my favorite coaches in college football. In today's like environment, I feel like he perfectly encapsulates what you need in a college football coach. Like, he is just real, raw, and he's going to tell you how it is, you know, but he's not going to take shit too seriously, but he's also going to address things as they happen, right? You're not going to be able to just like tiptoe around things with him. So I have them as true contenders, and I'm just really hoping we get to see them in the playoffs. If they do end up making the championship or winning the championship, I am for sure buying a baby blue Rebels jersey, Chambliss jersey. I will put my money on it.
Hotty toddy then, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, pause. I'm sorry. He is ready. You want me to have him hold or what?
Yeah, we got 2 teams left.
Okay. Hold on 1 second. Okay. Sorry, I know we're going to have to cut that, but I apologize.
so for team number 3, we have Indiana. Best win, obviously, is their absolute shellacking of a ranked Illinois team on the road. Efficiency stats love them right now. Have them as the third best team, 10th in offense, 7th in defense, ninth special teams. And you can just see that in the high level stats, averaging almost 50 points a game, allowing less than 10. Or I don't know if I'm buying. I don't know if I'm buying the stock yet. I'm hedging myself still here.
I get where that comes from. I get where the hesitation comes from. What I'll say about Indiana is fundamentally they might be the best team in football. They do everything right on defense. They do damn near everything right on offense, and that's why they've had success. Plus a little bit of luck in there being an underdog all the way through. We're going to know exactly where Indiana's at next weekend. Not this coming, but next weekend when they go to Oregon. That's when we're going to have a real good look at the contender or pretender. You're having me pick today. I'm saying this is a team that is fundamentally sound enough to make a deep run and maybe win it, but I have hesitations as well.
Yeah, I just have that memory of that playoff game, their playoff game last season, just like ingrained into my head. Because the second we started believing in them last season, they go and get smacked around by Ohio State. Then they kind of crawl to the finish line, make the playoff, and then get slapped in the playoffs as well. So it's like, they can beat the teams that they're supposed to beat, but can they beat the high level teams? If they are to do it this season, I think it's going to be because they can rely on that rushing attack. They literally go 4 deep at running back, so they're able to constantly just have fresh legs in the game, and that's going to play really well towards the end of the season once teams have played 14, 15, 16 games potentially. So I think that could be something that they can heavily rely upon the rest of the season. But as of right now, I have them as pretenders, and I would argue that. Ooh, do I want to say it?
Oh, go ahead. We're here for hot takes.
I don't think they're going to make the playoff.
Wow.
Because I believe they play both Oregon and Ohio State, or it's Indiana
Penn State.
or Penn. Yeah, so Oregon and Penn State. Oh, just kidding. Penn State. Is it at Penn State or is it at home?
It's in Happy Valley.
State. Okay, so that means Penn State. They're probably good for that one. So yeah, they're not making the playoff.
Okay. Wow.
No erasing.
Okay. Don't quote us sports, baby. I think you are in the major minority there, but I do appreciate the take. I'm not 100% sold, but I think they make a playoff.
I'm just saying, if we get to the end of the season, there's going to be plenty of 2-loss teams, and if they don't beat either Oregon or Penn State, their best win's going to be against a ranked Illinois with no conference championship. I feel like they are going to be better 2-loss teams than with a better resume than that. Is my
You've got a point. So they have to steal one of those. They have to steal one of them on the road.
Yeah, they would have to.
We're going to find out in a week, huh?
Yep. And then the last team, it might be the most interesting, or at least the least talked about of these 4 teams, and that's the Texas Tech Red Raiders. So far this season, they've their best win is on the road at Utah, but the efficiency rankings love them as well. We got them 5th overall, 3rd on offense, 20th on defense, 16th in special team. But where their bread and butter truly lies is that offense, which is currently averaging the 2nd most points, 2nd most yards, and the most passing yards. The question is going to come down to Morton, the quarterback's injury, and whether or not that lingers at all. But word or reports that I'm seeing is they're expecting him back for this upcoming game this week. So I guess we'll kind of just take that game by game. But is Texas Tech going to be able to come out of that Big 12 and make some noise?
Big 12's wide open. We're all aware of that. This offense is explosive. We're all aware of that. Their defense doesn't get enough credit. We remember what they did to Utah. Had them struggling the entire game. God, they feel like a flash in the pan because I look at their schedule and they've got to go to Arizona State at one point and they host BYU. And I think Arizona State is going to climb. BYU is going to be solid. I could see them losing both of those. And then we're having the same conversation. Are we putting a 2-loss Big 12 team into the playoffs if they're not the conference champion?
I'll answer that question. No. There's going to be one Big 12 team that makes it, and there's going to be one ACC. Just kidding. There could be two ACC teams, depending on Miami and Georgia Tech. But Big 12, I will plant my flag. There's going to be one team from the Big 12.
And I kind of figured that as well. So, I mean, if you drop those two, I like what they're doing. They're putting up a lot of points. But you look at the defenses that they've gone against, do any of them really, like, jump off the page at you? I don't know. I mean, I'm not.
Utah had a very good defense. I don't know if it's still very good, but I could have sworn when we talked about that game, I was talking about Utah's defense, and then Texas Tech, even with their backup quarterback in for half the game, dominated them.
Mm-hmm. I'm not far away from saying that this Houston game this weekend might be a trap game for Texas Tech. I don't know. It could happen. Right now, they're pretenders for me. I'd like to see what they do against Arizona State because I'm a big believer in Arizona State right now.
So can I put a caveat? Can I say that they are contenders in the sense that I think that they're going to win the Big 12, and I think they'll make the playoff, and I think that they win a game in the playoff. I just don't think right now they could win multiple games in the playoff. So can I say that they're a semi-contender? What's that middle ground?
I said that about Miami. I think that's fair. I think you probably view Texas Tech how I view Miami right now.
The one thing when it comes to postseason football that I can never rely on, and obviously this hasn't always held true in the past, but defenses come alive in the postseason and can truly change the course of games in those big moments. And I just don't know if Texas Tech has enough on defense. And let's say they face a red hot defense like Ohio State or somebody like that, those defenses that you've mentioned here. Are they really going to be able to throw for 400 yards and dictate the game through their passing attack? And if not, is their rushing attack going to be able to pick up the slack? I don't know at this point because we haven't seen it. We haven't seen them have to do that yet.
Yeah, I think the Georgia secondary and the Ohio State secondary would love to play Texas Tech just for the opportunity to go show what they can do. So, pretender for me right now. I wish them the best.
Okay, Herb, that will wrap up college football for this episode. But that leads us into a very fun segment up next. If you weren't aware, Herb, NHL season is right around the corner. Opening night puck drop is next. Let me check my calendar real quick. Next Tuesday, October 7th. Don't quote me on what the game is. I'm not even going to try and guess what it is. But I know you as well as I know me, and we have not paid attention to a single thing of hockey since the Florida Panthers lifted up the cup this spring, summer, whatever you want to call it. So, with that being the case, I think you and I both have a very, very special guest that could provide a lot of insight into this upcoming NHL season. Would you agree?
We're going to get insight into something, and it's going to be about hockey. We'll see how high level it is.
So, with that being said, we're going to cut right here, but then we are going to come back with a very special guest.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, NHL season is upon us. NHL puck drop is 4 days away. So we thought to ourselves, why don't we bring in an expert in the sport, a true academic of the sport of hockey? I'm talking about a guy who went viral for going shirt off in the middle of a beer league game on a Tuesday night in Winnetka. All right. I'm talking about a guy who gets after it in the beer league, a beer league legend himself, a man who's wanted in 6 provinces throughout Canada, a man who may or may not be allowed back at the 5th most luxurious gentlemen's club in Thunder Bay, Ontario, the pride of Waukesha, Wisconsin. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Chris Busby. Hey, there he is. Welcome to the pod, big fella.
Thanks for having me. I made it to the big show. Don't quote us. I never thought I'd actually be featured. Thank you again for the invite.
Yeah,
Love having you, buddy.
You have to take a lot of pleasure in knowing that you are the first official guest in Don't Quote Us sports history.
Well, don't show me the list of unofficial guests because then I'm going to feel even better. But again, thank you. The honor is all mine. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it only took 5 other people to turn us down before we got to your name, so we're so glad you could be here.
Yeah, but I'm the first shirtless hockey player to be on. So I'll take any sort of accolades I can get in stride, pun intended. Let's talk some hockey. But no,
And for everybody
again,
that is listening to the pod and not watching on YouTube, Bus has just a bottle of maple syrup that he has alongside of him right now, and since we started recording, he's already taken multiple sips just straight out of the syrup bottle. So
it's
when I tell you,
a hack.
when
It's
I
in the
tell
hockey
you
bag.
we're bringing the experts in to talk about what they know best, we mean it. So
You want to talk about
Yeah.
finger on the pulse? This is the guy.
This is the guy.
Finger on the pulp of the trees from the great north, yes. But no, for special occasions, it's great for slicking back your hair, putting it in your mustache if you need something to kind of freshen your breath, or yeah, just drink straight up. It's the best.
So real quick, Bus. So I brought it up. We've brought it up. We have to talk about it because it was a viral sensation and makes you an
Sure.
expert in the field. For those that
Yeah.
don't know, Chris went viral on Barstool at one point in his beer league career of skating around shirtless, just playing a little hockey with the boys. How did that happen?
Yeah, so we had a really good group. I'm on a couple different teams in Chicago, and the group itself of the 2 teams just has a pickup skate, friendly skate. Every week you would get a email around lunch, and they would say, you're either wearing a light or a dark jersey. That day, got the email, I was wearing a dark jersey. Show up to the rink, and some of the folks wearing the light colors didn't show up, and we had to rescramble the teams, and they're like, hey, sorry, bus, you're on light today. And I said I didn't pack it. So I got offered a large and as well as a medium. That wasn't going to work. I needed a king size California king bed sheet, and no one had one for me. So I took one for the boys, went tarps off, and it was a hit. So I continuously did that whenever I was on the light team throughout the summer. When the kids started showing up closer to the fall,
Oh no!
I started getting filmed like a zoo animal on a regular basis. The actual footage that Barstool received was from the rink manager, who I've become friendly with now. But if you get an old clip in the archives of Instagram, you can hear him like heavy breathing, talking a lot of shit about me. So go out there on Instagram, try to find it. Half naked hockey guy or something, not on your work device.
So two questions here. One, were you just nipping out the entire time? Like, were you just shooting daggers out there on the ice, like distracting the
Hockey's
opposing players?
You're using your full body in hockey all the time. I was sweating. I probably was nipping out, but the real threat is falling, just because the ice gets cut up. So that was the only thing I was really trying to not do is fall, because you'd just be cut up. Nipples being exposed really pose no threat.
Okay, that leads me into question
Yeah.
number 2. Without the protection, were we putting the body on the line. Any block shots by chance?
Yeah, I think just surface area allows me to be pretty good at that. Um, but yeah, I think my goaltenders would tell you I'll eat some pucks for you. But no, in that league, we're all friends. No one's shooting high, and there's a few people that I can call out, but I won't, that shoot high, and I know that, so I'll get out of the way. I'm like, but yeah, in the clip at the very end, you see the puck ramp off with my backhand, and it goes right over my shoulder. So, who touched my Batman cup? But it's one of those things where yeah, it's an accepted risk. It would just bruise really bad if I got hit with the puck, so I was willing to take that on.
A legend of the game, an absolute legend.
Well,
Yeah,
awesome.
just don't
Buzz,
fall, you're good to go.
thank you for joining us. But the reason we brought you in is because ever since the Florida Panthers lifted the cup this spring, I know I haven't followed a lick of hockey. I know damn well Herb hasn't followed a lick of hockey. So we need you to hit us with an all-encompassing primer for this upcoming season. And I guess
Primer, I hardly know her.
so. I guess where I want to start here is I believe listeners should know that the Florida Panthers won the Stanley Cup this past June, back to back now.
Yep.
Pick me up there. What has happened? What are the big things that happened at this summer? And I don't know where we want to start. This is going to go in a bunch of different directions, but I'll give you the floor.
Sure.
What's top of mind?
Yeah, so in my opinion, don't quote me. That's the name of the podcast, right? So anything, just a little disclaimer here. If anyone disagrees with my opinions, sorry, but this is the way I
Fuck 'em.
see the offseason go.
Suck it.
I think this offseason was kind of insane. I think a lot of people will say there was like 2 or 3 big things, but I think that there's a lot of things that are below the surface that people not may know. So kind of broke this down into a few different areas, where players are going, where coaches are going. So starting off with the players, and I think this might be the biggest. People will disagree with me on this hot take. Jonathan Taves. We'll talk about Mitch Marner later. Jonathan Taves took a trip across the Pacific Ocean to India to go purge what was going on in his body. He said he was chronic inflammatory syndrome as well as long-term COVID, which was kind of the beginning of the end of the dismantle of the Blackhawks. He is back. I think he's 36, 37. He is going home to the Winnipeg Jets. I see him as a third-line center, but, I mean, he's Captain Jonathan. 3 cups with the Blackhawks. It's hard to get that much character in a room. And I think that the story for Winnipeg has been you've been absolutely relying upon Halbuck, and when the playoffs come, it just doesn't work. So I think that's probably the biggest news coming out of the Central. But kind of in the same relation, Colorado is getting Gabriel Landeskog back after kind of like a weird 2-3 years of just not being around. I mean, he was around the team, but he just couldn't play. But they're also adding a veteran, a Grizzly vet on the blue line, Brett Burns, that's coming over from Carolina. So with a very capable room of talented folks, they're getting 2 huge characters back into the locker room. So, but let's just keep talking about the old horses here because it seems like that's the trend. So Malkin has been outright in Pittsburgh that they are not going to re-sign him after this season. This is his swan song after, I think, 19 seasons in Pittsburgh. Sidney Crosby, trade rumors flowing for like the last 2 years ever since they started losing, right? Be on the lookout for Pittsburgh to absolutely give it their all for these 2
The last
guys.
dance, huh?
The last dance. I mean,
is
is
this truly the last dance?
You never know. Sidney Crosby is like Benjamin Button. He was like I think he was top 5. Don't quote me. Top 10 scorer last year. The guy you can't stop the guy. But anyways, for other kind of, I guess the big elephant in the room, Mitch Marner, all the drama, it seems that's been for like 7 years in Toronto, is now has a new home in Vegas, which seems where like all the rock stars go to have a second leg of their career, with Jack Eichel, with all the drama that he had with his neck in Buffalo, where the owners didn't want him to get a certain surgery. You have Mark Stone, coming over from Ottawa, where it just seemed like he was drying up like a prune. This is the team to watch, I think, in the West. but Mitch Marner has a trend of folding like a lawn chair. So we'll see if he gets out of the Toronto media, if Vegas is a better home for him and a long-term fit for success.
So let me ask you this, Bus, as a novice, because I understand that Toronto has not been what Toronto is supposed to be. Hockey's better when the Maple Leaves are better. Was he the problem? Was that the God, maple syrup? Was he the problem? Was he the issue? Is that what they're saying in Toronto? That we're free of this guy, or is it very much the other way around?
So I want to make sure if the listeners are not listening, I am wearing a Boston hat. So I'm sorry in advance.
So there's going to be
Everything is wrong with Toronto.
I was going to say there's going to be a lot of bias with this upcoming answer.
Yeah. No, you know what? I think Austin Matthews, a product of Arizona hockey, will be captain for the USA. I think maybe. I mean, he's got a lot of years left. He's done a great amount for the game in the States. Everything is wrong with that locker room. I think William Nylander is a funny persona off the ice, but it's a distraction. I think that Jonathan Taves. Oh my
Tavares.
gosh, not Jonathan Taves. Yeah, sorry, Johnny T at the party. When he came over from the island, he just wasn't the same. They can't get the blue line figured out. Freddie Anderson was a mess. Everything. I can't blame it all on Mitch, but yes, he folds in the playoffs. So I think it's a failure by committee there. Too much star power. How do you divvy up that ice time? It's everything. But so we'll see. He's got a very strong supporting cast in Vegas that I think is a lot less drama free. A lot of those guys have families. It's just a calmer environment out in Vegas. I also think they have an easier schedule. So
That's a hell of a thing to say, that
I think
it's a calmer environment. In Vegas, it's a very family-friendly place.
I'm just saying they move out to, what is that, Henderson? They all got mansions in Henderson. It's chill. There's no media knocking at their door. They're not living in the high rises, getting abused, going into the locker room every night. I think that'll make a difference.
And I think that
But you're going to have the drunkest, rowdiest fans.
And I think that, correct me if I'm wrong, though, it was part of the reason that I think Marner wasn't able to step up in some of those big moments. Because for those that aren't aware, he's from Toronto, if I'm not mistaken. Like, that was his hometown team, right? And and while I agree with you, he was not, the problem was not entirely him. I felt like he was the one that kind of was targeted most by media, just due to kind of his personality. It's not that he didn't care. It was just like the body language that he had on the ice, where he just seemed like the easiest one to kind of pick on, especially because he was struggling as well, to the point that they're going after his family. They can't even enjoy the games anymore. And like, this is their home. So I think I'm wondering what that just change of environment is going to do from him. Like, I almost get the feeling that it's just going to be like a weight off his shoulders, and he can finally just play free and play for the love of the game again, you know?
When I just have this clip in my mind from Austin Powers when Dr. Evil puts his arms out and he's like, "Come to Papa. Come to Papa." That's how I kind of see the Vegas GM for all of these. Like, I don't want to call them the misfit of island toys, but they're looking for something else. And he's just like, "Come to Papa. I'll make it work." But yeah, Isaiah, I agree with you. Without getting into drama from like 7 years ago that got really, really nasty in the Canadian market. Yeah, it was a huge distraction for not just him, his entire family. I'm going to pick on him just for a second. He can do everything better than me besides eating, but he looks like he's 7 years old. And I don't think that helps when you are in a room of men and you're the smallest guy. I don't know. If he can grow out some facial hair in Vegas, I think that'd do him a lot of good. So we'll see.
That's the difference. There it is. Little Rogaine on the face.
I mean,
but on the other hand, Bus, a couple teams that you didn't mention that I feel like have really been like at the top of their conferences, but just haven't been able to break through to win the big one yet, is the Carolina Hurricanes. And their problem is they just can't even get out of their side of the bracket in a lot of these seasons, or they're capped at the Eastern Conference Finals, where they have struggled mightily in the past. And then the Dallas Stars, who it feels like they are any one of these seasons, it's theirs. Have they made any big changes? Are they still at that level? Can we expect them to get back to that position? Or are they going to be taking a step back and there might be some other teams that kind of leapfrog them come end of the season?
Without foreshadowing too much into my playoff outlook, I think Carolina's here this year. I think they're going to be, I little foreshadowing. I think they're going to be a dark horse. It's not fair to call them a dark horse at all, actually. But no, they add Nikolai Ehlers from Winnipeg, which is a great depth forward. And then they have Keandre Miller kind of filling in the spot for Brett Burns. There's going to be youth. He's going to replace the length. I don't necessarily know if he's going to have the offensive production or the attitude in the corners, but Rod Brendamore's team win by committee. They're swarmers, all three zones. I think that Carolina and Florida, it's kind of like the Spider-Man meme, just both two of them, though. Like they're just kind of pointing at each other, like we play the same game here. But Florida's had the upper hand for the last few years. But taking a bigger step back, yeah, I think the Metropolitan and the East have a terrible pattern of cannibalism when it goes into the playoffs. It's just really, really difficult. Whereas the West, I feel like you have maybe a 5-6 horse race across the Central and the West. So it's going to be the same thing this year. It is going to be a long road to the finals, which is just kind of where we kicked off the conversation, a testament to how good the Florida Panthers have been for the last few years.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, with the Hurricanes, come playoff time, the struggles have always been more so from an offensive perspective, correct? Is that
Yep.
Is that Ehlers signing going to be enough? Because I know they brought in, what's his name at the trade deadline last year? Rantanen.
Rantanen?
Yeah.
That was a mess. Yeah.
That he lasted, 4 weeks there, and his ass was in and out. It was like that, the Simpsons meme where Homer walks into the bar and then immediately walks right back out the door type of thing. And
yeah. No, he didn't even finish his cup of coffee.
I think everybody can agree he's a top 10, if not a top 5 offensive player in this league. And even in the short time that he was there, he still struggled. So just by adding Ehlers, is that going to be enough to get them over that hump in the playoffs? Or do you think it's more like a mental thing at this point where there's almost like a self-doubt in that locker room? Because I know it's a lot of the same guys.
Yeah, no, I think it's a double-edged sword for the fact of the system that they play with Rod Brindamore is they win by committee. They don't necessarily have, in my opinion, they don't necessarily have the platform for an all-star player. Sebastian Aho is a phenomenal talent. He's not a Mikko Rantanen. He's not Nathan McKinnon, Connor McDavid. So it's just really hard for someone who just needs and craves that type of puck time, that amount of shots on that. They're craving the points, right? These guys, I'm not in their locker room, but I see them as a pass-first team, not someone who's going to dangle you and just go all the way down and just be a rock star, right? They don't care about the stat lines. They just want to win. But again, live and die by the same sword. So I think Nikolai Ehlers, to answer your question, I think he is a team guy. I think that Winnipeg was kind of the same format. They have great players, over the last few years, but they don't have like a bona fide superstar that people buy tickets for. So I think he'll mesh very well. Same thing with Keandre Miller. I don't think he's that type of diva.
Okay.
But I do, because this is the all sports podcast. Mikko Rantanen is the best athlete in Dallas right now after they got rid of Micah Parsons, and I can't remember the guy in basketball. Don't ask me any questions about basketball. Luka.
Yeah, and Brandon's, for the listeners out there.
Brandon is the cowboy. He's the Casanova in Dallas.
And for the listeners out there, that's exactly why Buzz has not joined us as a third host. He's not multi-purpose. He's not versatile enough for a podcast like this. We're all sports.
Oh, I can dance.
I'll spin you around.
Okay, so that's the Hurricanes. What about the Stars?
Yeah.
I feel like, and to be honest with you, from my perspective, I have a little bit of bias. Jack Ottinger played at a high school in Minnesota that was in my conference. I got to see him live. He backstopped the Lakeville North hockey team when they went undefeated. I believe that was my junior year of high school, which doesn't happen frequently anymore. So I love my Minnesota boys. So tell me,
Yeah, cue up glory days.
yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me it's coming because I personally
So
think Ottinger's a top 3 goaltender in the league right now.
I can't disagree. Dallas has been extremely fun to watch. I don't. There's always a lot of fun with the fans at the games. So even if you're not watching hockey, but you're watching the perimeter of the fans sitting behind the bench. For those of you know. For those of you who don't, watch the game. Um, but the big question here is the new coach. Kind of a dramatic departure with Pete DeBoer, and then they have Galutson coming in. Not a new name to the boys club that is NHL coaches, but I think that it's totally going to be his room to win over. I think that, Robertson uh, is obviously their kind of like homegrown star, and then you have Rantanen coming in, and you have great personnel between the pipes. Like, again, this is that 3, 4, 5 teams in the West that again cannibalize one another in the playoffs, but it's Dallas is, I don't think they're sexy though. Like that's my only thing about their game is like there's nothing extremely sexy about them versus some of the high flying offenses in the league. But the proof's in the pudding. They're a very good team and they could definitely make it to the Western Conference Finals. I don't know if they have what it takes to beat the East in the finals, but I think it's theirs to lose.
So let me
I
ask
don't
you
know if
this.
we want to go into the West breakdown, but yeah, like don't want to get
Let
too
me
far in there.
let me ask you this because we're talking about goaltending. Okay, I heard this in my little bit of research leading up to this, and it kind of made me think. And
Sure.
this is not disrespectful to Bobrovsky at all, like at all. But
Mhm.
what some people are saying is there's a formula in the NHL to get to the cup where you have star firepower up front and you can get away with having an okay goalie. Not the world's greatest, but the okay goalie. Whereas Bob struggled throughout the season, regular season at times, but he turns into a different animal come playoff time. Is that something that you believe in? Is there any validity to that?
As a defenseman, hell no. Give me the best goalie in the world.
Make my
I
life
will do
easier.
everything I possibly can. But think about every offensive defenseman. They need to have the confidence that if something were to go wrong in the neutral zone and they're trying to break it in on a rush and the forwards get lazy or change or whatever, they need to know that the goalie can take on a 2-on-1, or if it's a breakaway 2-on-0, you need to have a top tier goaltender. I think that the Edmonton fans listening to this are like punching a hole in drywall because I feel like they haven't had the support they need up there, which we can talk about later. But no, I don't necessarily believe in having mediocrity between the pipes and having the hopes to score 6 goals a night. It's just so unrealistic. Goalies are streaky, scorers are streaky. So I think you have to really devote a lot of cash or to a really confident goalie tandem to win the cup.
All right.
So, Buzz,
But
we've kind of touched on some of these big teams, right? But looking at it, 10,000 foot view, who are we considering the favorites? Who is coming for
ooh,
Florida's throne, if anybody, at this point?
yeah, and there's a lot more off-season moves if we want to get into that again later. But in the East, I kind of broke this down. Top 3 teams, in my opinion, a dark horse and an uber dark horse in the East and the West.
Okay.
So I don't think the top 3 is going to surprise anybody. But Florida, Tampa, and Carolina in the East are my 3 confident teams we will see in bare minimum round 2 of the playoffs unless they run into each other first.
Buzz, with that,
The
help me
West,
with the divisions
sorry, go
because
ahead.
that shit always fucks me up in the NHL because they're so poorly named outside of in the Eastern Conference at least. I know Florida and Tampa are in the same division. Is
Yeah,
Carolina in
that's
that
why the
division
culture in
too?
the AFC North, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is
um,
Carolina in that division too? Or are they in the Metro?
yeah, they're in the Atlantic.
So all
Or
three.
sorry, Carolina's in the Metropolitan.
Okay.
Florida, Tampa are in the
Okay.
Atlantic.
And in addition to that, Tampa Bay, that was not a team I was expecting. I thought
No?
I thought their time had kind of passed by already. Um, what am I missing here? Did they make a big move, or because correct me if I'm wrong, they lost first round last season, right?
Ran into Florida.
Right.
I mean that's the only reason I think they're probably not getting a ton of respect. But no, the if you have John Cooper behind the net, I think you got a chance. Like, and
John.
then
Oh, you said
they
behind the bench. I thought you made him sound like he was the goalie for a second. I'm like, huh. Last time I checked, they had some
oh no
Russian back there.
oh no John yeah no John yeah no well put John Cooper between the pipes, see what happens. No, I mean Anthony Cirelli is kind of a not a dark horse at all, but a tertiary, maybe fourth, fifth pick for the Selkie every year. You still have Braden Point. You still have oh my gosh, I'm trying to
Kucherov.
blank the
Say something nice about my
Kucherov.
Russian.
Yeah, yeah, no, Kucherov. His drunken stupor for his interviews are all time, and then like you still have like a stable on the back end. But I mean, like we were talking about for goaltenders, Vasilevsky never count him out. So I just think that they have the playoff experience. They know what it takes to win. They have depth. They have Kucherov, right? And he's the favorite for points and goals every single year. So it's just they're living in a shadow, which is funny because they went to the cup for like I think it was like 4 years in a row. I think they lost one in there. I think it was the St. Louis because then yeah, but no, I mean they're a dynasty and they still have a very very solid roster. So didn't do anything crazy in the free agency or anything like that, but still extremely relevant.
Yeah, it hasn't. Now that you mentioned that, has because I know Tampa went back to back, and then Florida's gone back to back. Was there anybody in between there, or is that the Stanley Cup been in Florida for the last 4 years now? 4 or 5 years.
It's been in the southern market for because Vegas. Oh my goodness!
Vegas. That I think they are smack in between.
I mean, I'm cheering on the USA come Olympics time, but we need a cup to maybe go north of the border soon. I think the Canadians are pretty sick of waiting. But yeah, no, and it's super interesting to me because like again, Austin Matthews is the product of the desert. You're seeing kids come out of Texas, like Seth Jones, and players coming out of Florida making, and it was always like Wisconsin, Minnesota, Michigan, and New England, greater New England. And now it's just like, yeah, the game is spreading, which is great, but bring the cup up where it's cold, please. We don't have a ton to celebrate. We're just happy that it's warm in the summer, but to have the cup in the north would be greatly appreciated. I'll speak on behalf of Canadians there too.
Okay, so those are the three favorites. Give me your dark horse and your uber dark horse in the Eastern Conference. I'm interested here because there's a couple
Yeah.
of teams I feel like could be here. I want to see if you say them.
Yeah. The dark horse, I don't think avid hockey watchers are gonna be like, that's not a dark horse, you piece of shit. Washington, they came out of nowhere last year. I know Ovi's goal run was like obviously monumental, absolutely insane record that was never going to be touched. So like it's weird that I think their success maybe got muted by all the attention around the record. But they're really good, and like they've added young forwards that can fill in when Ovi's not just absolutely smoking a cigarette and having a Coca-Cola on the left circle on the power play. Like these guys are good. But in the Metro, it's hard to get out of the Metro. And then when you get to the East for playoffs, it's a buzzsaw. So it's just like, stop it. He's already dead. I mean,
You're
every
killing
team
him.
that gets there, you're just like, Jesus. There's, yeah, there's no fun matchup in the East. It's just it's a long way to the top if people want to rock and roll, I guess. But no, I didn't know if that was on your list, Isaiah. But Washington,
Okay.
and then the Uber dark horse, which people are probably going to be like, "What the hell are you talking about?"
Say it.
Put $1 on the future for the Columbus Blue Jackets
Yes!
to win the cup.
Give me some Blue Jackets.
That
Yeah,
was
it's their 25th anniversary as a franchise. I don't know. I believe in fate. They got a bunch of young kids, and they do have the legitimate captain for the USA team, Zach Werenski. So it's just like, I don't know. The Olympics this year, you take some things personally. I don't know. I don't know. Could be fun.
Columbus.
Yeah, I think they would immediately get a bump into the standings if they just wore that alternate uniform with the cannon for every single game. That
Oh,
is an
I thought you were going to say the bug.
no, it that the cannon is one of the ultimate looks in the NHL right now, in my opinion. I love it.
Yeah. No, I do like the cannon. The colorway is conservative, which I think a lot of NHL franchises are, right? They don't go too crazy with the alternates. But like when that cannon goes off in there, I've never seen a game in Columbus. I have to imagine it's like Skull in or Jump Around at Madison. Like it is got to be like what you go for in the atmosphere. So I don't know. I hope that there's a whole lot of cannon shots going on in Columbus this year. It'll be fun.
You have any idea what their chances
But
are of
as for the
actually winning it?
West, no, I have not checked. NFL betting has not treated me well this year, and I tend to not bet on the NHL until they're like Thanksgiving time. Let the
Pl-
teams kind of figure out the tweaks and the injuries. Um,
Plus 12,500 right now.
put a dollar on it. Everyone's got a dollar.
And you don't even have to do the Stanley Cup. Just do them to some playoff prop. Would be serviceable.
$100,
Yeah,
1,200 or
yeah. No,
$12,000
it's
hit. Let's put money on it.
legal disclaimer. I'm not telling you to do that, but
We're
the
not
avid
big enough. You don't
listeners,
have to give legal disclaimers yet.
yeah. But people could listen back on this when it's a week out from the playoffs and you guys are exploding. You got sponsors. It's gonna be
At
crazy.
that point, it's too late. The odds are already going to be tanked.
I don't know. They still could do it. They can still do it. But moving over to the West, though. Again, top three, not gonna be surprised. Isaiah, you already brought up one. Dallas, they're not my number one. They're my three. Number two, Colorado, number one. I'm so sorry to everyone in Edmonton, but yeah, it is Edmonton. I know it hurts to hear the the forecast for the season, and you've dealt with what you've dealt with for the last two seasons. But those three, insanely talented players. They've shown success. Edmonton's got a new coach, so that will be super interesting. Um, anytime you have, don't quote me on that, I might be getting confused, but anytime you have Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl in a room, you have a chance. But they did have a lot of kind of like third and fourth line shifting, so it is going to be a new room. But again, with those two, it's just hard to keep them out of the conversation. But as for the dark horse in the West, kind of falls into the Washington bracket if it's not going to be a huge surprise. St. Louis. Um, they are like ragtag, just lunch pail team, and they are fun to watch. And they brought back kind of like the retro, like lighter blue jerseys, which are just so clean. Which I'm very, very envious of. I wish I was a St. Louis fan just to wear the jersey. Um, no, look for St. Louis to do some things, and they'll be playing Dallas a whole lot in the Central. But again, I do think that Central is going to be run by Dallas this year again. But as for the Uber dark horse, let's give it up for Detroit, Motor City,
Ooh.
one of the oldest average age rosters.
Wait. Bus, Detroit's in the Eastern Conference, buddy.
Oh shoot, there you go. There's one.
Oh,
Uber dark horse number two.
oh no! How can we have our hockey expert come on and not
I'm
even
so
get the
excited.
teams in the right conference?
I had too much syrup.
And
I
now
was
and
over
now we have to
syrup.
backtrack. Are they your ultra dark horse in the East, or is it Columbus?
Ultra dark horse in the East.
Unbelievable.
No, it's
Bus is reeling right now. He's trying to figure out who his dark horse in the West is going to be now because he didn't. He was so
no, I'm
prepared.
actually trying to find the date when they moved to the East because they were in the West. That's always the best part.
Yeah, but we don't live in the past anymore, Bus. I'm sorry.
No. Well, then if I'm gonna pick a Uber dark one for the West. I'm gonna say ultra dramatic. I'm gonna say I'm gonna do the wild. Kirill the Thrill is gonna get a max 8 year, $16.5 million contract.
Buzz, you
And it'll be the Uber.
Buzz. He already signed the contract.
Oh, he did? There you
Oh
go.
my
When was
god.
it?
It was earlier
Tell me,
this
Isaiah.
week.
Tell me what I need to
It
know.
was earlier
Oh, it
this
was?
week.
Good.
It was
Good.
what was it? It was 8 years, 136 mil. So it broke the record for total money and average per year. I think it's like 16 and a half, which makes me really curious, not to like just hijack this conversation, really curious what happens with Connor McDavid and what he could command from the Oilers.
I mean, he just wants a cup.
See, that's where I've
17 per year.
That's what I've been. That's
Jeez.
what I've been hearing. Because Connor McDavid, all he does in the media is talk about how it's championship or nothing. Like that's all that he truly cares about. So this is really going to be the opportunity for him to put his money where his mouth is. Because I don't think anybody's arguing that he deserves 20% of whatever the salary cap is, whatever next year is. I think that it's approaching like it would be like 18 to 20 million dollars. I think. But does he go for that max amount, or do you see him leave money on the table so that they are able to address some of those areas of concern that they've had in the past, specifically their goaltending? And I guess I'll make this a two-pronged question. Do you think he's
Yeah.
even staying in Edmonton?
He's doing a really good job of well, everything I say now is discredited because I'm a week behind in all news and I forgot that the Detroit's in the East. No, I mean he's doing a really good job of like I don't know, faking it if he is disingenuous. But I don't see him being like a prima donna. I think that he would take a home team discount so they can address other areas of concern. If he were to stay in Edmonton, but I think the number is on totally on a sliding scale of where he's getting looked at. If he's getting looked at to fill in for like a team that's rebuilding, I think that he'd want more money. But if he's going to, if I mean, it would never happen. But if he goes to Colorado or Dallas, like, yeah, he will take the discount for the cup on a short term deal and just for the cup. And he'll renegotiate terms somewhere else, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe go back to Edmonton, who knows? But
so what would you put?
yeah, I don't see him being that guy.
What would you put the percent at that he returns to Edmonton? Do you think it's all based on this season and whether or not they can actually hoist the cup? Like it's a cup or bust type of thing? Or do you think they are still in a pretty good position to bring him back, even if they don't?
I think 80% chance he stays in Edmonton if it's not an act.
Okay.
I still think he's thinking about it actively. Even if he is totally genuine, 80% chance. I think that I think he will have his mind made up. Let's say they're going to the playoffs, but they do nothing at the trade deadline. I think that he will be very, very let down, and we'll see where playoffs take him, and that will dictate where he goes, if he stays or if he leaves. And that 20% could start looking more like 50-50.
Yeah, I'm just really curious how he would mesh in a larger market because I think he can kind of. Part of me feels like he really enjoys the fact that Edmonton's just such a small market, and obviously he still gets a lot of attention, but I feel like comparatively to if he was playing in LA or New York or Toronto, right? There'd be.
I think the fans fuel him though. A small market, but what else are you doing on a Tuesday night? You're going to see an oil town, like you're going to see the Oilers. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I get what you're saying, but like, I mean, Edmonton's media isn't Toronto's, but like, I don't necessarily think the media in LA is as bad as Edmonton. Like, because that's all they got, right? I mean, they got the big mall and oil and the team. So it's just like, it's, I don't know. It'll be super, super interesting. I think that like, take the team away. He seems like a stand-up guy. So I think he's going to feel the weight of the world on his shoulders. Like, I can't leave this team,
Mm-hmm.
you know, but you need the cup. He's getting a little old. I mean, he's not old, but
I was gonna say, I think he's only
we'll
like,
see.
I think he's still only like 28, right? Which is crazy.
Grandpa.
Which is crazy
Yeah.
to say.
I mean, but undoubtedly, in my opinion, the best player in the league. I know people think that Nate, you know, Ranton, people are chasing him, but I still think he's the best. Um, he just needs the cast, and he's been pass first with Draisaitl. So if he goes to a team that doesn't have a Draisaitl, he's got to shoot more. And the legs are still phenomenal, out of this world legs, but they're not 23-year-old legs. So I don't know.
Okay, Bus. So you've gone through your teams, the top contenders, some dark horses, but who are some under the radar names that us casual NHL fans should prepare to know or start learning about leading up to this season?
Yeah. So all the players have something in common. They're all in the West. And I think that similar to any sport, it's just hard to watch players on Pacific time, right? Like we can't stay up all night, depending on if you're Eastern or Central. So under the radar, I'm just going to say at large, the San Jose Sharks. It's been hard times in San Jose,
Just a
but
blanket
with the
statement, huh?
recent, it's a blanket statement. Just like watch that team. They're predators in the water. No, the but Macklin Celebrini and Will Smith, two clear, like if you're watching the draft and you're a diehard hockey fan, you know these names, it's not a surprise to you. But for people who don't avidly watch, these two players are going to be a part of the wave of the future. Um, I can't say they underperformed in their rookie season because it was their rookie season on a dumpster fire team, right? But now they're year two, they still have a cast of young guys who are probably learning how to be professional hockey players together. I think that's a bonding, it's a glue moment. Don't expect them to sniff the playoffs. Don't even worry about them making the playoffs. But look at the plus minuses at the end of the year. Look how competitive they are with some of the big dogs in the West. Like they're going to be some good games to watch. They'll be entertaining. So Will Smith, Macklin Celebrini for San Jose. Going down the coast a little bit to more sunshine, Anaheim, Mason McTavish with the new coach of Joel Quenneville coming back, as well as Trevor Zegras going over to Philly. Mason is kind of the guy. They did get Chris Kreider, but he's kind of popsicle sticks and glue right now. He's still a big guy, but he ain't it anymore. So he plays a gritty game. He's got like crazy haircut. Just like a character. Good Instagram follow. Totally under the radar though, due to that time zone. And last but not least, in Calgary, actually had the privilege to go to Calgary this spring, and I got to see this person play. Connor Zary took a little dip. This is his third season. He's still really young at 23, 24, maybe. He had 34 points in his sophomore season. He dipped down to 27 points. But on that team, you have Kadri as well as Huberdeau, who are aging assets, take up a ton of money. They're going to have a huge slot for him to have success this year, or they really need him to rise to the top and kind of bring 40, 50 points. So I would say keep an eye out for Connor Zary. And arguably, it's RIP the Saddle Dome in a few years. Great venue to watch a game. And I think that'll be a fun arena this year before they get their new rink in a couple years. So those are the four guys I say keep an eye out for if you could stay up late and watch Pacific Standard Time. Otherwise, make sure you tune in for their road trips to the East.
Okay. Perfect. Well, I know we had also talked offline about some rule changes that are going to be implemented this upcoming season. I had not heard a lick about any sort of rule changes. So please enlighten me into what these changes are and the impact that they may have.
Yeah, some of these are so common sense. I don't know why we haven't had them. And some of these are welcome to banana lands. The big one though is coming to you this February, I believe, for the first time I think since 2014 when the American sniper Oshie took down Russia. We are allowing NHL players to play in the Olympics, which is I don't know why we keep going back and forth on this. So while there There will be a lot of eyes on the Olympics. This will be an opportunity for people to play for a different reason besides the cup. So again, absolutely love the rule change there. The one so let's go with the ones that make sense first for the NHL. Coaches can now challenge delay of game for puck out of play. When you're just gassed, a lot of players will toss it high up off the glass, get a change. Sometimes when it goes over the glass, for people who don't know, you get a delay of game penalty, and it sucks because you're tired and your team hates you. Now they can challenge that if it gets tipped or touched the glass. So just makes sense. The second one for just makes sense, the backup goaltender warm up. If your starting goaltender is getting medically evaluated, your goaltender will get a brief time. It is not listed, but a brief time to warm up. Could you imagine sitting on a bench for 50 minutes and you have to play the last 10? It's tied up or you're a goal down and you go in cold. That's
Good
not
luck.
fair. So kudos on them. Yeah. All right. The other one. So this is the last two are a little bit weird. Line change after a dislodged net. As a big fella who gives it his all, and my lung capacity gives sometimes you gotta unlodge the net so the ref blows the whistle. Now, if the goaltender or your team, or even if you get pushed into the net and it gets dislodged in your zone and the whistle blows, you cannot change your line. So this is similar to icing. If you ever need a break and you ice the puck, your line cannot change. So this is will be very, very interesting for some of those maybe crafty goaltenders. I think Marc-Andre Fleury was the biggest personality who did this. But just a wherewithal, keep your eyes on that net because teams are about to get burned with this particular call. So the last one, I don't get this at all. This is like the perfect rule for don't quote us sports. You can get an unsportsmanlike conduct for sitting on the boards or drawing your leg over the boards before changing. So what I think they're trying to, so I wrote down the description here to be thorough, and I have my guess as to why. If a player is sitting or has a leg hovering on or over the boards while awaiting a line change, that can draw an unsportsmanlike penalty. The first time per game, the referee will warn the team. Further infractions will bring on a bench minor. There is a reason why hockey is the most entertaining game to watch. It is fast paced. They have weapons attached to their feet, and they're holding a stick that could take someone's head off. With this, it will slow down line changes incrementally, but those seconds matter if there is an odd man rush going the other direction. So I think they just want to understand if someone's at the top of the circle and they have two more strides to make it to the bench, I don't know. This is going to be one that is going to make coaches' blood boil. And I'm pretty sure if you call this on a home team and in a barn, the fans are going to be waiting for you by the buses. This penalty is going to suck come playoff time.
What do you is it player safety, the reasoning?
I think it's flirting with too many men on the ice.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, like, it's not six players, but, like, if someone's tapping their stick because they're gassed and they want to get the attention of the guy on the bench, he jumps into the rush. Is that fair? I mean, I played beer league. We do it all the time. The guy's, like, 100 yards away, and I'm like, I'm on. Just jump in and go. But, yeah, it's going to get weird come playoff time with that rule.
It just feels like it's going to be a very hard thing from a consistency standpoint to be able to call. There's only 3 refs on the ice at a time, and there's so much shit going on already. I feel like it's going to be very difficult to catch those instances as they're occurring.
Yeah. I mean, their eyes should be on the play, right? How many penalties happen behind the ref's back when people give a stick jab to the back, to the kidneys or to the back of the legs? Now they're looking at the bench. We'll see if there's a lot of missed offsides calls this year. But hey, they got the challenge now, so who knows? People are using that left and right. And the very last rule that will pertain, and this is so straightforward and should have been done a long time ago, they fixed the LTIR loophole with salary cap. For those unaware, players that cost $10 million, they can go on LTIR, and a team can acquire a player up to the same value of that player and then they can activate the LTIR player in the playoffs. So Vegas did this, Tampa did this, Chicago did this, Florida did this. And this is kind of a situation, Isaiah, to your point with Connor. If someone's hurt and they can afford Connor for $7 million for a 1-year contract, they can't do that anymore. So glad they wrapped that one up.
Awesome. Good to know.
Yeah.
Busts there. Anything else rules wise? We need to pay
Have a
attention.
good time at the game. Get home safe.
Do they still have? Never mind. That was a dumb question. I'm gonna cut that part.
No, ask it.
No.
For the sake, because I've been blabbering on. Ask it.
No. Because no, I can't.
Detroit's in the East, if you were wondering. I just double checked.
But to wrap up our conversation with the subject matter expert, let's speed run through the end of the season awards and Stanley Cup prediction, and we'll let you get back to your loving wife. So to start off, what order do I want to go in? Honestly, let's add a little bit of suspense. Let's go with the Calder Trophy, awarded to the most outstanding rookie.
Ivan Demidov in Montreal. Didn't get to see him play a whole lot last year, but analysts have been raving about him. And to me, I think there's just been so much buzz around rookies over the last few years. I know I mentioned San Jose, but even Connor Bedard the year before was kind of like a layup. I don't think there's a ton of great rookies out there this year that are going to make an impact. So it'd be nice to have Montreal into some end of season award conversations because I feel like the whole Providence is going to kill me, but Montreal's not going to the playoffs.
Okay. Next,
they have to go through the Bs.
What about the Vezina, awarded to the top goaltender?
Everyone's going. So I guess my first answer is always going to be what the market's saying. The second answer is probably going to be more of my opinion. Connor Hellebuyck has always been like at the top of the list for the last 5 years. He's insane and he's American, so love to have him on our team. But like, he keeps folding in the playoffs. It's a tough go. But I think Igor Shesterkin for the Rangers. They're one of the teams that need to have a comeback season. I think Igor gets it together between the pipes, and I think he takes it. I think Rangers will sniff the playoffs in like a wild card spot. But regular season, Igor Shesterkin for me.
Okay. And then we got the Norris Trophy, awarded to the top defenseman.
Isaiah, get out the lotion. Probably Cale Makar.
Thank you. Thank you.
I know we've talked offline about my true feelings about this guy. My dark horse, Homer Till I Die, Charlie McAvoy, the American Stallion. I think, oh boy is right. Oh, Charlie boy. I think that he is on a dumpster fire of a team. He and Pasternak are going to miss the prime of their career based on the absolute yard sale that they made last year. I think Charlie's going to step up. I think Jeremy Swayman, after the contract drama last year, he's got to make his money this year. For me as a fan, he's got to make his money. But Charlie is a dual threat. I think he's going to be a huge impact for the States in the Olympics. And last year he got injured during the Four Nations, which took a lot of his season away. So he's got some fresh legs. The shoulder's a long way from the legs. I think that's what Herb Brooks said.
Hey, he's plus 20,000 right now. Keep that in mind.
Yeah, bet $1. Don't quote us sports.
And then the last one, the Hart Trophy for the most valuable player.
Both answers suck, guys. I'm sorry. You're not going to get a whole lot of hot takes on this one. It's going to be Connor McDavid, or it's going to be Nate McKinnon. There's no one else. They probably won't win the most goals or anything. Like, they're not going to win the Art Ross, but yeah, Nate or Connor. How signed, sealed, delivered.
How close is the gap? Is it true 50-50 right now? Are we talking 70-30, McDavid over McKinnon?
I don't know who's actually voting for him. I think the people who actually vote can't get over, can't stop slobbing all over Connor. I think it's a lot closer personally. I think it's more 50-50. Um, but yeah, the committee I think is Connor homeboys.
Okay. And then
Yeah.
to bring us home, Mr. Bus, give me the world or Jesus Christ, sorry. I got the Yankees game on in the background. Give me your Stanley Cup predictions and call your shot right now. Who's hoisting the cup come the end of the season?
Okay. People are gonna get super pissed. Even though Barkov's hurt, Florida. I think it's gonna be Florida. It's a coin toss between Dallas and Colorado. I'm gonna go with Dallas. Um, but Florida's just too deep. They had yeah, they were a dog pound. That's right. No, they had so much stuff that they needed to true up in the offseason just with the core team, and they did it. And also, my man, Brad Marchand, the rat, is there. So Barkov is the quiet leader. You still have so many leaders in the room before Marchand got there. Bob is aging like fine wine, like he still gets it done. I just can't see them losing unless they have like a crazy amount of injuries. They know how to get it done, and like I don't know how much. What's that steroid you get injected into like your knee or your back? Cortisone. I think that they got cortisone, like P Diddy levels of cortisone from Costco, and they're just pumping it into the team. There's no way they're not going to win again. On the other side, Dallas and Colorado, again, it's just a matter of health. But I would give the nod to Dallas just because I want to be a little exotic and it'd be fun to see them get to the final.
Awesome.
Connor McDavid is going to burn Edmonton down and lose in the second round.
Oh shit.
Oh God.
Okay. Well, Bus, thank you so much for taking the time to come and enlighten us.
Don't cut me off just yet. I got shout outs.
Oh.
I've been a long time listener. I know shout outs are a thing.
Oh God. Okay.
And
Okay.
I'm counting on getting invited back when I know the conference breakouts later in the season. But I got to give a shout out to Johnny's Ice House in Chicago. You treat all of the beer leaguers like gold. Don't close. Never close. Keep the dreams alive. And the only thing that Herb you missed on my intro, I'm still a free agent. So Chicago, if you're listening to this, I'm real close. I can come by anytime. My gear's at the rink. I can leave work early for a tryout. That's all I got. Thank you.
And you don't need a jersey.
I don't need a jersey. I don't. You can keep the change. I'll bring my own gear too. I take my own stick. But if someone could help me tie my skates, that'd be great. I got type 3 diabetes. It's hard to bend over and tie them.
Oh God.
Well, Bus, we will definitely have you back on once the season kicks off, and we'll see how correct or how much of an expert you truly are here once the season kicks off.
Appreciate it, guys. Have a good one.
Awesome.
Thanks, Bus.
Give me your shout out here, baby.
Oh, a little shout out of the week. All right, I'm gonna keep it local to the greater Des Moines area. I just thought in a world in which there's so much division and hate and all this bullshit, there's a man from Urbandale, Iowa, who is in his early 70s, Kent Proudfit. Every morning, Kent takes a little stroll down to the end of the block, stands on the sidewalk of a major roadway, and just waves at folks. Just, hey, have a good day at work, have a good day at school. So I thought that was kind of cool. Just find something to do in your retirement. Why not do some what feels like a little good in the world?
I like that. I can get behind that.
Yeah.
For my shout out, I'm gonna shout out some WNBA actually.
Oh.
Yep, I'm gonna shout out and help me. I believe it's Nafise Collier from the Minnesota Lynx.
Yep, I'll give it to you.
She absolutely roasted the shit out of the WNBA commissioner, and you read what she said, and I had no notes. It was so perfectly encapsulated, like all of the issues that we are seeing right now within the WNBA. Whether or not it and results in anything, I have no idea, but it definitely puts the public pressure on that commissioner who just seems extremely power hungry and disconnected from reality at this point. So shout out to her. Stand up,
Yeah.
girl power. You know.
But I couldn't agree more. And I tell you what, she did it in the absolute perfect way that a professional athlete absolutely should. Sat down and said, I'm going to read what I'm going to read, and these are my words. And I don't think she said – I don't know that she told a lie. I don't think she said anything out of pocket.
No. And
So.
all you hear on the opposite side is crickets.
Mm-hmm.
But just very interesting because I believe she's the VP of the WNBA Players Association. So I believe their CBA is up for renewal after next season,
I think
if I'm
that's
not
right.
mistaken. So they've already been in like contract negotiations and just negotiations in general. So she's literally having negotiations with the commissioner, and this commissioner is saying things that are not going to bode well when it comes to negotiating here in the
Nope.
future.
The Caitlin Clark line was wild.
Yeah, that's where the disconnected from reality thing completely came into play.
Yeah, it's absolutely wild. So,
but folks, hopefully you enjoyed this episode with our first official guest. Once again, thank you to Bus for joining us.
thanks,
But
Bus.
make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, follow. Let us know anything you want us to talk about. More than willing. We're going to start getting a little bit more into some longer form videos onto YouTube. Right now, it's going to be focused, I believe, we decided on like forgotten athletes. So there's an Eric Decker video that we already dropped on Monday. So go give that a watch. And then I think we're also going to introduce a new series. Still tweaking on the name a little bit, but it's going to be related to forgotten like sports moments.
Mm-hmm.
So like Mark Sanchez's butt fumble type of thing, like things that we kind of forgotten, but were like big cultural moments that everybody will remember. So it's just kind of a subtle reminder. So first episode of that is probably going to drop on Monday, this coming Monday. It's going to be on the 1989 World Series, the Earthquake Series, as it has come to be known. So make sure to go give that a listen as well. But outside of that, we'll catch you on the next one.
See you.
Peace.